And welcome, sports fans, to today's Roundtable, and this is the finale of our Roundtable season for this year, and we'll take a break over the summer, come back in late August for the continuation of our Sports Roundtable, so winding down the school year as we mostly cover high school athletics, so we're going to take the summer off. We'll be active over the summer. We'll talk about that in a moment, what we'll be doing over the summer months, but this is the last episode of the Roundtable for this season, and we got a great show lined up for you, and we always dedicate one of our last shows to Officials Day here on the Roundtable, and we've got a handful in here today. We'll have Clark Parrott and Jay Pyles along with us, as well as a newcomer to the officiating scene, Jake Young, and Sibo Assigner, Southeast Missouri basketball referee assigner Loyd Rice is going to be along with us to talk about how to get into officiating and what all it takes, and it's pretty easy, so he's going to come in and talk about that as well today. So it's going to be Officials Day, and it's one of our favorite days here on the Roundtable. We get the ins and outs of officiating here in Southeast Missouri sports, so glad you tuned in for today's Roundtable. And we'll go ahead and touch on some local things. We're coming up on the state tournaments in high school baseball, and taking a look at those brackets that'll be getting underway this next week in the Class 1 state tournament. In the top half of the bracket is going to be Cooter and Oran taking on each other Monday at 4, and that'll be at Cooter. Also in the other sectional here locally, Naylor taking on Bakersfield. In the Class 2 state tournament, Holcomb takes on East Carter County. That'll be Monday at 4 at Holcomb. And in the other sectional up north, Chaffee taking on Valley Catholic. And in Class 3 state tournament, New Madrid County Central coming off its first district championship since '94 with a sizable victory over Malden, 15-0, and they'll take on Scott City in the sectional. That'll be Monday at 4 at New Madrid. In Class 4, Notre Dame will take on St. Genevieve in that sectional. That'll be Tuesday at 4. And in Class 5, we don't have a local team, but Seckman takes on Vianney, and that's sectional on Tuesday. So the state tournaments get underway this next week here in Southeast Missouri and across the state, and we'll be surely pulling for our local teams to make a run for a state title this year. And we've got some all-district teams to report on that were released this week. And taking a look at the SEMO Conference all-conference team. First team pitchers were Justin Landaway, Notre Dame, Trey Tigert of Sykeston, Stephen Eddy of Jackson, Wes Pyles of Poplar Bluff. And catchers Chase Simmons of Notre Dame, Josh King of Poplar Bluff. And infielders Calvin Long of Cape Central, Laban Petzold of Jackson, Kevontae Mitchell of Kennett, Brad Potts of Dexter, Cord Shehai of Sykeston, Logan Faith of Poplar Bluff, and outfielders Trent Wills of Jackson and Brandon Stuckenschneider of Poplar Bluff. And outfielders were Chase Erhan of Notre Dame, Cody Neldon of Dexter, and Akeem Nelson of Kennett. Designated hitter Cody Harris of Jackson, and utility player Josh Haggerty of Notre Dame. And honorable mention for pitchers, Matt Chisholm of Cape Central, also Chase Haggerty, Colin Herzog of Jackson, Jarrett Sandlin of Sykeston, Ross James of Notre Dame, Jay Sean McDaniel of New Madrid County Central, and catcher Jaden Hayden of Jackson. And infielders, Jordan Miller of Dexter, Ramsey Scott of Cape Central, Ryan O'Rear of Jackson, Kyle James of Jackson, Drew Dowd of Poplar Bluff, Josh Jansen of Notre Dame, Tyson Campbell of Kennett, Gavin O'Brien of Sykeston, Colton Black of Sykeston. Tim Clayton of New Madrid County Central, Trip Keene of New Madrid County Central, Lane Chamberlain, and outfielders Trevor Probst of Cape Central, Josh Hampton of Sykeston, Cody DeBrock of Notre Dame, Colin Smith and D.K. Wallace of Kennett. And designated hitter Alex Lewis of Poplar Bluff. Co-conference players of the year are Stephen Eddy of Jackson, Justin Landaway of Notre Dame, and co-conference coaches of the year, Tatum Kitchen of Jackson, Jeff Gravitt of Notre Dame. And those are your SEMO Conference honors for this season. And taking a look at Class 1 District 1 all-district team, Brandon Bridges of Cooter, also Riley Hickerson, Jesse Rayburn, and also Tyler McIlvain, and Hunter Thornton of Cooter, Colton Bryant, Seth Hill, and Chris Munez of Delta C7, Kelton Wilson, and Blake Jameson of Southland. And we have Austin Vaughn of Southland, Jordan Pavey, Caleb McCord, and Matt Cummins of Risco, Reed Morgan, Cody Lott of Clarkton, Alan Earnhardt, Dalen Hutchison, and Brian Buchanan of Gideon, Christian Wilson of North Pemiscot, also Dalton Reinhardt of North Pemiscot. And those are Class 1 all-district teams. And taking a look at Class 4 all-district. And Grant Dix of Perryville, also Garrett Martin and Trevor Green of Perryville, Brad Potts and Cody Nelden of Dexter, Trey Tigert, Doug Still, Josh Hampton, Gavin O'Brien, and Cord Sheehigh of Sykeston. Brady Bruin of Fredericktown, Chase Simmons, Justin Landaway, Cody DeBrock, Josh Haggerty of Notre Dame, Tyson Campbell, Devontae Mitchell, Akeem Nelson, Colin Smith, and DK Wallace of Kennett. And those are your Class 4 all-district teams for this year as well. And that's what we had to report on for high school baseball. And now we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with a few of our officials to get Officials Day underway here on the Roundtable. Always a good time, and we'll have Jay Pyles and Clark Parrott coming up.
When I was a kid, we didn't have all these wireless devices. We only had one computer plugged into the wall, and we were grateful.
Technology changes fast. Stay ahead with blazing fast internet speeds from New Wave Communications. New Wave delivers the internet with incredible speeds, up to 50 megabits per second. Pick the package that's right for you. New Wave, the area's fastest internet, period.
Kids today don't know how good they have it.
I wanna stay connected to you. I like the way you do what you do. Alright, okay, you're fine. Hey.
Call Audubell Hearing Center at 1-800-499-8786 or visit one of our locations in Dexter and Poplar Bluff, Missouri today.
My someday was enrolling at Three Rivers right out of high school. It changed my life. And now, as an instructor, I'm excited to give back to students working to change their lives. Three Rivers is affordable. It's close to where you live and work. A lot of our students get through school and into a good paying job in 2 years or less. With small class sizes, we make learning personal. We're here to help turn your someday into graduation day.
Take your first step toward a stronger, more fulfilling career. Make your someday today. Enroll now at Three Rivers College.
With an interactive home security system from New Wave, your family comes home to peace of mind. Now we bring you the future of home security. Arm and disarm your system remotely from your office computer or iPhone. Even look in on family or pets with live video from inside your home. In an emergency, our 24/7 alarm monitoring responds with the help you need. Peace of mind wherever you are. Now available from New Wave Communications.
And now we're along with our first pair of officials. We've got Clark Parrott on the outside. We got Jay Pyles along with us. And guys, we had to shake you down before you come in here. I know people wanted us to shake you down, so. But it's good to have you guys in here. And you guys officiate numerous sports. And first of all, we'll just talk about the sports that you all officiate. So Clark, what do you officiate?
I do baseball, basketball, and softball.
Okay.
Here in Southeast Missouri.
Okay. And Jay?
Basketball and softball.
Basketball and softball. So none in the fall, looks like, unless you're doing baseball in the fall.
Do some fall baseball and
yeah.
occasionally some fall softball
Okay.
in the fall, but mostly softball, baseball in spring.
Okay. All right. And wrapping up the season in baseball, Clark, you've actually done a few games here in the district tournaments around, and quite a few good games this past week.
Yeah, we just finished up the Class 3 district down at Malden Monday and Tuesday this week. I was there for the semifinal and the final, and saw two pretty good games Monday between Malden, Doniphan, and then Twin Rivers and New Madrid. That Twin Rivers New Madrid game was 2-1. Just outstanding pitching in that one. Tuesday afternoon, New Madrid got the better of Malden, and kind of hard, hated to see Malden season in that way. But, happy for the New Madrid kids, and they're excited to play Scott City on Monday.
Sure, and that was one unexpected result there at Malden in that district tournament. Looking in, Malden and Twin Rivers were the top seeds, and it looked like they were going to match up, but New Madrid come through there and made a great run.
Yeah, they
really
did. I think they won three in a row down there because they played last Saturday morning.
Right. They had to play a first round with Crothersville. They used to play against Crothersville and won the semifinals over Twin Rivers and then Malden. So impressive run by the Eagles there in New Madrid. And Jay, you did some softball this year, and the state sanctioned softball for state tournaments are in the fall. It's basically exhibition play here in the spring. So it's quite a good softball teams in the area.
Yeah, up north, real good. Girls throw strikes, and the games don't last long.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we'll just talk about y'all's experiences in officiating. And first, let's just talk about how y'all are in sports from the beginning. Did y'all play high school sports, and just give us a little take on that.
Yeah, I played football, basketball, baseball in high school, and when I graduated, it was start a family, this sort of thing, and I coached Low American Legion baseball and over in West Plains, and just had the opportunity to start doing basketball, that sort of thing. And I'm grateful, because Jay and I call a lot of games together, as a crew, and it's helping each other, that sort of thing. And I enjoy it. It gives me a chance to stay back in the game, and especially with baseball, and because I truly love baseball. And anytime, like Jay said a while ago, you get kids that throw strikes, that's a fun game.
Sure. That's the one thing about baseball, probably more so than the other games. It can really drag on if you don't have kids up there throwing strikes. So you got to expand that zone a little bit. So, it's good. It's good to get your experience. And Jay, did you grow up with sports? And
and sports, anybody knows me. I'm basketball, baseball, everything. I just love to do it. And, you're not good enough to play the next level. You want to try to stay in the game.
Yeah.
And I like being around the kids, and basketball is my love. I love basketball. Still like to play every now and then, but don't get to play very much. But I'm around it.
Those days are getting away sooner, aren't they?
You pay for them next day.
Right, yeah. So where'd you guys go to school at, high school?
I went to Illinois, West Frankfort, Illinois High School.
Okay.
Then I come down here and with friends, and made a few in the States, so I never went back. Haven't been back to Illinois since '85. So.
All right. I'm
planted here now, it looks like.
Planted. Well, Clark?
I graduated from West Plains
High
School, and stayed there till 2002, and then joined Highway Patrol. And since then, I've been in 4 different spots with the patrol, and don't plan on leaving Dexter.
Okay, good deal. And let's just talk about y'all's experiences in officiating, and maybe we can talk about some basketball. Y'all both do basketball and been doing it a while. So, on this season, what's some games that you really come across that you really enjoyed or just really made an impact on the season?
Well, I had 2 of the Hawk and Bernie matchups, and boy, them were fun, I'll tell you. The fans were into it, coaches into it, 2 good coaches, assistant coaches. Fans weren't bad, Most of them are just hollering at the shirt, not the person.
Right.
You got to realize that. Can't have rabbit ears. And them were 2 of good games I had. I had a good one over at Sykeston back in the winter. Maplewood and Sykeston. The only loss Sykeston's had at home in years, and I got to be a part of that. Probably, I don't know if that's good or not, but that was a good one there. That was like a junior college atmosphere there. Them kids they can play. When you start doing that level. And it gives you confidence as an official, too. You get out there and you can tell when things are going good in the flow of game, and coaches are into it, fans are into it, and then you get in a little zone yourself. You and your partners, you know if you've nailed a game or not, and it's a good feeling when you walk off there and have no regrets. And it's a good experience to be like that.
Sure. And Hockham and Bernie, that was one of the great matchups this year. I think they played 3 or 4 times, and Bernie finally got the better of Hockham there in the end of that district tournament. But did you have one of the district tournament games?
No, thank God I only had 2 of the 4. I didn't need all 4 of them. they were all nail biters. So you like to have a little blowout every now and then somewhere down the line. So you like to get away from tough games every night.
Makes it easy, don't it?
Yeah.
So you got the Bloomfield tournament on, and they had a game in there, and Bloomfield tournament always a big deal. So
great deal, great place to call a game. Experiences there is like none other. It's always high intensity. It's like every game. Especially after the second day. Them last 2 days, even this year, not even the second day.
Yeah, the second day was.
And even the last half of the first day, we had some seedings were kind of out of whack because nobody really knows exactly what's going on, and some teams getting misseeded, and then the higher teams and higher top seed teams can really be nerve wracking going into a first round game. Which I know some of the coaches, I talked to them before the tournament started. And it was quite a year, and of course you know how that ended up. The small Hockham comes down here and wins it all. So that was a great story for that small town down there.
Sure, it was a great tournament, top to bottom at the Bloomfield tournament this year, and we knew coming in there would probably be 6-7 teams that could win that thing this year. So it made for a really good tournament there at Bloomfield. And Clark, what's some big games you had this year?
I do probably 65-70% of my games are on the girls' side. And one that really stands out to me was late January did Twin Rivers, New Madrid girls, and that was a potential Class 3 district matchup right there. And the atmosphere, it was at New Madrid. The crowd wasn't really big, but the atmosphere was just festive, and the players played, coaches coached, and me and my partner got the ref. And I think it was one of the best games I saw all year because they played good defense. They moved their feet, didn't reach and slap and hack like I see a lot of times. But overall it was a good game. And then Jay and I did one in late December, right before the Bloomfield tournament, Bloomfield Donovan, and that was a big win for Bloomfield at that time because Donovan walked in with the 6'8" kid and the 6'7" and 6'5". And their little Bloomfield is, and they just run them in the ground and beat them by about
17, 18
points. And like Jay said, that Bloomfield gym was rocking, and everybody was into it and having a big time with it.
Sure. And Donovan, with Brian Patterson, I think that's who you're referring to. Really good talent there out of Donovan, and I think he's going to be moving to the next level, playing at the next level. So that was a big win for Bloomfield.
Yes,
that was kind of one of the early games that kind of stood out.
Yeah.
Early in the season. It was an impressive win for Bloomfield for sure. So, just a few games that y'all refereed. And how long you been in officiating?
I've been doing basketball for 7 years.
7 years.
And baseball for about 14.
Okay.
Basketball 16 years. 16 years, and softball for about 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So looking back, is there any games that really stick out over that time span?
Go ahead, I'm going to think of one.
Well, baseball a couple of years ago, I got to do the Orion-Cooter sectional game down at Cooter. And that was I think it was 5-3, Orion beat them. And, of course, those two schools are, if you can get out of that sectional, you got a pretty good chance going to state on that one. It was a good game. Pitchers throwing, playing good defense, that sort of thing. And at that point, it really does come down to fundamentals because one play changes the tide of the ball game.
And you talk about those two schools, Orion and Cooter, you already think baseball.
Yeah.
They are the top
Yeah.
teams, especially among the smaller schools in baseball in the area. And I think Cooter's going on, maybe 8 district titles in a row, something like that. It's unreal. And I thought Risco was going to have a shot this year. They beat Cooter earlier in the year, and then
beat them at Memphis. McCord threw a no-hitter.
McCord threw a no-hitter for Risco, and that was really impressive. And thought Risco might have a chance to pull that out.
Yeah.
Cooter pulls out another one.
That's right.
Pulls out another one.
Yeah. And Orion, right there in the mix as well. I think they're going to go at it again this year, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they play Monday.
Yeah, so it's an recurring theme with those two schools in high school baseball. And Jay, did you come up with one that really sticks out?
Oh, I had, I think back earlier in my career, I had a game down at Gideon one night, and it was a conference tournament. Campbell and Clarkton, man, you talking about a game. KFVS was there. Both teams were ranked in the top 5, I think, in each respective class. Mm-hmm. And they went down the wire. I mean, just like a good old Campbell-Clarkton tri-county rivalry game could come down to, and it had everything in it, from block shots to charges taken to good hard fouls, but everything went all right. When the dust settled, I think Campbell won by 1 or 2 points. It come down to the last second shot, and I think the other game I had a state championship game back in '09. West Platte was playing, I believe, Webb City, Class 4 state championship girls game. And the center for West Platte, she had, I want to say, 25 points, 20 rebounds, and like 20 she had it was a triple-double, but it was like in the 20s. I mean, I looked at the record book, it's still there. Her name was Morgan Johnson. I think she went on to play for Vanderbilt or Iowa or somewhere, but she was like 6'7", 6'8".
Wow.
I remember the ball getting stuck up in the rim, and you're thinking, go get the broom, poke in the eye, she jumps up there and gets it out. A woman, so I'm like, I felt pretty bad about that. They looked at me, I say, I can't get that down. But I've been to Final Four, and that's the experience there. That's what we strive. That's what we do this for. We strive to get there, and maybe get to go back again one of these days. So.
Sure. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Some state tournament games. Have y'all, you talked about that one in the Final Four. Clark, have you done any games in state tournament play?
I've done districts.
Districts? Okay.
And that's something I'm striving to. I look at Jay, and Jay is, and I don't think a lot of people realize, as officials, a lot of times we'll meet somewhere and ride together. And when we're going to these games, we talk what ifs. What if we come across this situation or whatever? And, we just don't when season ends, put our stuff up and pick it up back in November and December and start up again. We're continually going to camps. Jay just got back from a camp in St. Louis. We talk, anytime we're out and about, we're talking about it. So Jay's really helped me and, Loyd and some of the other guys, but I've just done districts. The last 2 years I've done Class 3 district girls, Class 1 and Class 2 boys and girls championships. And, to me that's it's a learning experience. But like Jay said, we all want to get to Columbia and continually take that next step. And, I take pride, and I know Jay does, in what we do, because it's not just a check. I mean, yeah, it is nice to get paid, but that's not why we do it. We do it because we love the game. And we enjoy being around the kids. And, anytime you can get a good, ball game that's tight and the crowd's into it, and, not necessarily a game while ago that stood out to me was the district tournament last year at Bloomfield, Class 3, and actually had to tee a girl up. And at the end of the game, afterwards, because I work with her dad, she came up and she said, "How long have you been here? What are you doing here?" And I teed her. She didn't know it was me. Didn't know I was on the floor. And as official, that's what we strive for, is to call a 2-hour ball game or an hour and a half, whatever it is, baseball, softball, basketball, football, and nobody know you were there. Mm-hmm. And that's what we strive for. But Jay's right. We all want to get to Columbia, but it takes a lot of hard work. And guys like Jay are willing to help guys like me out and say, "Hey, this is what you need to do," and not do it in a condescending way. Because Jay won't tell you this. Jay's one of the top officials in Southeast Missouri. He won't tell you that, but I will. And he's pretty good at what he does, and I don't want to blow his head up too big, but Jay's good at what he does. And you've got guys like Loyd who go out and try to find some of the younger guys, and I think they're coming in next, and just kind of build it and work with everybody. And guys that want to get better can. Guys who don't want to get better don't.
Sure. That's probably one thing that isn't probably understood or realized by the fans and just the general public out there, is what these guys do in the off season to prepare and make themselves better for the next year and oncoming years. Y'all go to camps. You're always trying to better your craft, and that's what probably people don't realize, that these guys really work hard at being better, because that makes it a better game. If you're more prepared and qualified to go out there and call the games, and that just makes it a better game and better to watch. So
Yeah.
that's probably what people miss about what you guys do, is what y'all do to prepare each
Yeah.
year. And there's a lot of camps. I know there's a lot of camps out there that referees go to, and
Yeah.
they stay aggressive in what they do. And like I said, it's not like they're training for a job to where they're going to get paid better or anything.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
actually, they're going to get paid the same no matter what. So it's
Keep trying to
actually,
get better every year. We try to get better every year.
yeah.
Well, and Jay and I have discussed this. There's 3 teams on the floor. There's home team, visitor team, and then there's team in white and black stripes. And we always strive to be the best team on the floor,
Yeah.
and and make sure nobody knows that we're there.
Yeah, that's certainly the way you want it. 'Cause,
That's exactly the way we want
it don't always work out that way.
No,
That's the way it needs to be. It has to be every game. If you want everything to go right, you got to be the best team out there. So, and if you're not together, and if you're not a cohesive unit, then it gets pretty bad.
Sure. So if there's anyone out there that's, hey, I'd like to maybe try out officiating, what's your advice to them if they're just thinking about it?
Give one of us a call, give Loyd a call,
Yes.
or somebody. And we've done this for maybe go do a 3-man crew and take a 4th with us, and put them in and let them work a half a JV game and kind of rotate out. And each one of us will say, hey, this is what we're looking at here, this is what we're doing here, and kind of get their feet wet. That sort of thing. But one of the interesting things about being a baseball, basketball, or softball official or whatever, it's the only craft or job where as soon as you walk on the floor, you're expected to be perfect and get better from there.
Yeah.
And the guys that are changing the oil in your car or stocking the shelves or whatever, there's nobody yelling, "Why'd you put that there?" or "Come on," that sort of thing. We're expected to be 100% and get better from there, which is why we take so much pride in what we do, the study and the practice, the what ifs, the camps, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it's wonderful craft. I like that word that you're using there. It's a wonderful craft or a part-time job. Stay involved in the community with the kids, and if somebody wants to do it, they can call me or Jay. We'll be more than happy to take them and help them, and because we need more young officials. You look at where we call from. Last year, I went from Fredericktown to Cooter on back-to-back nights. Living in Dexter, it's kind of centrally located, and I can go anywhere. But we've got guys that go all the way to Lesterville, Summersville, Bunker area, and we need more officials down here because it kind of gets a little tiring calling 5-6 days a week.
Yeah. And that's your second job.
That's
not your
your
first
second
one.
job.
Yeah, you're just trying to get to the second job on time.
Yeah.
I know at least 3 nights last year that if anybody would have been sick, if one referee had been sick, we'd been messed. I mean, nobody was available nowhere. And there were even a few games had to have 2 guys on because we just didn't have enough guys. And
one thing that people need to realize that if you enjoy going to games, you love high school basketball or baseball, whatever it is, you love watching it on here on YHC or anything like that, it's a good way to keep up with all the teams.
Yeah.
If you're a basketball fan, you go out and do these games. It's a good way to, if you're going to start out in junior high, you can see the kids coming up. It's good to get around and see the kids coming up that are going to be playing in high school. And if you work your way into high school, it's a good way to see all the teams and see everybody that's playing. So it's a good way to you can still be a fan and be an official, and it works well together.
yeah.
So you always got to think about that. It's not always, you don't necessarily have to want to be an official to get into it. If you're a fan, you're interested in it, it's a good way to be a fan. Get around and see a lot of games, a lot of players. So you just got to have fun with it.
Yeah.
People got to realize that these guys do have fun, even though as much as you bark at them, they have some fun and they take their job seriously, and it shows. So we're certainly glad to have these guys on. And any parting words you'd like to share with us?
I'm ready for next year.
Yeah. We're going to do some summer stuff here at the Rib City.
Yep.
Kind of, stay in. That's a good place for some young guys to get started.
Yeah.
There's some good teams. 4 or 5 states bring girls and boys. I think 5 or 6 weeks of it. I mean, you'll get enough basketball.
And it's not a lot of stress.
Yeah, not a lot of
from an
stress.
official standpoint.
Game's going quick. You know,
Games
ball's
every
moving.
15 minutes, run clock. Yeah, I mean, you'll still hear a little bit here and there, but it's not bad.
No,
It's not
no,
bad.
and I mean, as Jay said, it's a wonderful time if somebody wants to get in on it. Call Chad Allen and say, I want to ref Rib City Shootout one game.
Yeah, Chad running that thing, and he's always needing officials. He's
Oh,
throwing this
oh,
thing
yeah.
every year.
I
and he's
think you
always-
put on a strap.
Yeah, I put
too,
him
huh?
on, which I started out and officiated. I was in college and got into it, started into it, and then when I come across this, I kind of had to transition out
Yeah.
of it. We're doing games 3 or 4 nights a week, so I had to pretty much transition out of it. But it's fun to get out there and mix it up, and it's yeah, if you're wanting to get in on that Rib City Shootout, Chad pays you a little bit each game, and it's a good way to get started and have some fun and see all the teams coming out for the Rib City Shootout. So we'll be looking forward to that all summer long. 6 weekends this year.
6
Yeah.
weekends.
Wow.
Chad's gonna be busy, and
Yes.
volleyball in there too somewhere.
Yeah,
so.
you got volleyball there on the 27th and 28th.
I don't know if he's doing that or not, but I know he's gonna be doing basketball.
Yeah, it's getting bigger every year, and it's great for SEMO.
Yeah.
SEMO's really popular. Or basketball's really popular here in the SEMO area, and to bring the best of the teams from out of this area, from the
Good,
3 or 4
teams,
states.
Good teams.
It's really fun to watch. So if you're a basketball fan, be sure to keep note of that over the summer. The Rib City Shootout in Dexter, and it's getting bigger every year. So be sure to come out if you're interested. Well, guys, we appreciate you coming up today and sharing with us, and we'll be certainly seeing you all on the court and on the fields next year, and looking forward to it. And it's always good fun seeing you guys out in the game, and you guys have a great camaraderie. It's one thing people need to look forward to as well. If you're looking into it, it's not just as if you show up, you don't know the next guy to you.
Yeah.
It's a nice camaraderie among you guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Good friendship.
Sure is. And we'll see you guys later on, and we appreciate you guys coming up.
Appreciate it, Tyler.
Appreciate you having us.
All right. And we got a few more we're going to bring up. We're going to bring up Loyd Rice and Jake Young. And Jake Young's just a newcomer to the refereeing scene, and Lloyd's going to talk more about how to get into officiating and just what all that entails, and we'll be back with those guys coming up.
Let's talk about next year. This is the time of year to reflect on last season's crop and make decisions for next season. What mix of crops should you plant? Should you buy new equipment this year or get by another year with what you have? We'd like to help you make the financial side of your planning a little easier. Our ag department knows agriculture, and they're local.
Stop by and see us
at First Midwest Bank.
At Glen St. Kennett. We have a lot full of inventory and the best rebates of the year. I'm Danny Ford, owner of Glen St. We just want the opportunity to talk to you about your next car or truck. The rebates are the best of the year and interest rates the lowest to work with. It's a great time to buy, and our people are excited to help you make the right choice. We realize you have a lot of dealers to choose from, but I can assure you no one appreciates your business like we do. Glen St. and Kennett, and God bless our troops.
When I was a kid, we didn't have all these wireless devices. We only had one computer plugged into the wall, and we were grateful.
Technology changes fast. Stay ahead with blazing fast internet speeds from New Wave Communications. New Wave delivers the internet with incredible speeds, up to 50 megabits per second. Pick the package that's right for you. New Wave, the area's fastest internet, period.
Kids today don't know how good they have it.
And now we're back along with a few more officials. We've got Loyd Rice, the Southeast Missouri referee, a signer on the outside. We got Jake Young here in the middle. And Jake, you're a newcomer to the officiating scene. And how long have you been in the officiating now?
Well, I graduated high school from Portageville in 2011, and I started football directly after that. So I've been in football for 2 years now, and I just finished up my first year of basketball. So.
Okay, so and you're at Portageville, had some good years there.
Had some great years, great teams, played for a great coach and Coach Bible, and then Coach Irby took over, and was fortunate enough to be on the 09 state championship team as a sophomore, so a lot of fun.
Yeah, great run there at Portageville. So you've got a lot of success that you can take on and to the officiating scene, and be proud of that. And Loyd, you're the SEMO assigner, so just talk about what your role is in this officiating scene.
Tyler, on basketball, we pretty much cover the assignments. As far as schools will send us their schedules, and we'll pretty much schedule the officials for the games. when we kind of first started this thing or dreamed it up, it was intended to kind of balance the situation. In other words, schools with really good long-standing ADs would jump out and get officials 2 and even 3 years ahead of time. And and then with schools, if there was a coaching change or an AD change, they were just left kind of scrambling on whoever they could call or get. So we tried to bring that into one heading, and for a minimal fee, we will take the school's schedule and pretty much assign it and try to, we try to balance it game to game and send the guys out. I try not to send the guys into a place any more than maybe 2-3 times a year. It gets a little tough because of the number of games, and teams that tend to play deeper in tournaments, of course, see the same guys a little more. But that was the idea at first, and also to give the officials an avenue to kind of get themselves better and progress those guys along too. So
Okay.
and that's the part that I think we're better at now, because assigning people to games is one thing. That's always, there's going to be 16 or 18 games a year, and it's not a lot of that changes except for the schools that we may add. But the ability to bring young guys in, kind of seek out talent and bring them in. And Jake just he went to camp with me this about a month ago. Had about Pyles went. And several of the guys, kind of get them coaxed into doing some camps, doing some things to kind of broaden that officiating experience. Because we kind of get caught up in how great basketball is down here, and never think that this thing's getting played, not only statewide, but, all over the Midwest, all over the country. And I think Jake could share that, he had a good camp experience, and especially coming out of a first-year guy. Jake's got a lot of God-given talents and looks and abilities that a lot of Clark ain't never going to have. So it's kind of nice to be able to take a real young guy and not just kind of throw him out there, but also throw him out there and then back it up with some teaching, training, and developing, and hopefully he can take that next year and act like he's getting something out of it, get some game experience, and we're off and running with him.
Sure. And talk a little bit about the the assigning that you do. Is that more unique down here, or is that more of a trend that's developing?
It was actually, we were kind of behind the game, so I just stole working at the college level. It's always through an assigner. And we were able to, a lot of state associations do it within an association, and that sometimes gets a little tricky, the politics of who's the president and who's the secretary and who's the favorite. And the thing I like about how Randy Winston, my partner in this, how we do it here is because I don't officiate, so I don't really have I don't officiate high school anymore, so I don't really have a card in the game, so to speak. And it lets us be just pretty fair and balanced with it. And again, the best games, the best teams also want the best officials on the best game nights, and that gets tough to balance when it gets into January. Tri-County battles, as they're as tough a games as we'll have in the SEMO conference, and then on the same night that Bloomfield and Doniphan are playing. So and I mention that because that was one of our really tough Fridays that we couldn't stand. We didn't need any turned ankles, any sickness at all, because we were just maxed out with available people that we had. And one of the other really good things is, or really things that we're trying to push and promote, there's a lot of great girls basketball played in Southeast Missouri. And you talk about a fast track to the top. Natalie Sago from Farmington just started refereeing 2 years ago, and she's just really picked it up just super easy. And she's going to get to referee and call all the games she wants. One of the big reasons she's very good, but another part of that is there's just not hardly any women officials. I mean, we could really take a couple of former basketball players and work out at the Rib City Classic this summer and do some junior high stuff in the fall, and I promise you we could use y'all winter long. And that's the thing. Young officials, Jake's age, even in college. I mean, Jake's going to be a junior. Is that right?
Yeah.
A junior in college, and it's really going to fit into his college schedule just pretty handy, and better spending money than I'm assuming he can make. Flipping hamburgers or whatever else college guy even has time to do.
Well, that's what in my experience when I was in school. That's when I got into it. Was in college. I started out officiating the rec sports.
Right, intramurals.
You get into officiating junior high school and it's a breeze compared to rec sports.
There's no question.
it's a breeze. So it was an easy transition. So it's a good way. If you're young and in college, you need a part-time job and. Hey, what better way to do it than go to a basketball game and officiate? So.
Absolutely. Especially junior high or anymore with the ability to have pretty much all three-man crews on our boys' games and a lot on the girls' games too. It really does offer us a chance where we wouldn't necessarily want to throw Jake into a Sykeston Notre Dame conference title clash, but it does let him work a much higher level game with as part of a three-man crew, and coaches get used to you, and that's the biggest thing, Tyler. At the end of the day, this stuff's not brain surgery, and fans will squawk at you, but you really do. The wider that angle and the farther away you are from it, and the more you kind of slow down that play and process it. That's why, as a fan, it's so easy to call, because you really have no pressure to call anything, and it's like, oh, well, that must have been a foul. Well, yeah, 2-3 seconds later, it's pretty easy to figure that out. We've got to be making that decision, on time and on the spot. And that just comes with game experience. Jake's got another real positive about Jake. He's a smart kid, but he's real laid back about it. He's not all jacked up and intense and too worried about stuff. And it's kind of that baseball attitude that I tease Harmon about. It's a little the more you can slow it down and process thing, the better it's called. And I think Jake was able to pick that up at the camp. I know that's one of their big talking points.
Sure. And Jake, let's talk about you just played a few years ago. So what was your motivation in getting your referee? Were you interested in it all along? So just tell us about how you got into it.
Well, I started out, playing all throughout, my childhood up through high school, and then when I figured out that I wasn't going to be able to move on to the next level, I really still wanted to stay into the game a little bit, and I figured officiating would, be a great way to do that. And, I made a few phone calls, talked to Loyd and a few other people, and just kind of got into it, just kind of threw myself out into the fire and just kind of tried to pick up on a few things, and it's really worked out really well so far.
Okay, so you started out with football, you said, and that you played football, so it was pretty easy to pick up going along?
It was. I'd say football is just a tad easier to pick up than basketball, just because, officiating football is a lot more laid back. You're a lot more farther away from the fans. That's another thing. But, yeah, so.
It's a little easier when you got probably less responsibility to look for. Is that going to play?
Yeah, that's one thing. Just because in football, you've got 4 or 5 guys out there calling a game, and you've got some really specific things that you're going to be looking for, whereas in basketball you're kind of all over the court at any given time, so it's a lot more pressure on you in basketball, in my opinion.
Okay, so football not a hard one to get into to start out with, so if you're familiar with football, so that's something to
well, and I know football specifically goes in a crew, so to speak, right. So it's also a little easier to get involved in a specific crew and kind of stay with those guys. Not all the time, but for the most part. Now in the junior high and JV, I know you just kind of scamper around and grab some local guys and do what you can do. But I think what crew were you on? You filmed Mark Mars and them? Or?
Well, doing sub-varsity stuff like junior high, JV stuff, there's really not set crews. That's more on the varsity level itself. So I'm not actually on a crew right now. I just kind of do pick up, junior high JV games now and then whenever I can get on. So.
Okay. So that's a good way to get started there, is doing the younger kids first. Those are the ones that you can kind of pick up quick and, work your way in. The game's a little slower. It's easier to pick up.
Yeah, Terry Turlington always said if you can call junior high and junior college, you can call anything. And really that's true. I think Jake will find his JV 3-man crew experiences easier than trying to call just a train wreck of a a wild Stoddard County 7th grade game, for instance, because there's so many decisions, and you really do have to kind of wade through some of the minutia of, well, yeah, it was a walk, but did it affect anything at all, or can we please just keep this thing going? So junior high is tough, and that's one of the traps of this thing. It's not just easy to wait out there and start calling junior high, because also your mamas aren't as game experienced either. So they're just losing their ever-loving minds over, the abuse of their, little Johnny that's 13, because, again, they haven't had an opportunity to see that, hey, it's okay. We're all kind of going through this together, and you're not very good, and we may not be very good, but we're going to all kind of collectively get better. So it's not necessarily any easier, and then you kind of bring it down to a 2-man game anymore, and we're all calling so much 3-man, which is a better system, and it's tougher. Especially in hyper competitive Southeast Missouri. I mean, it is what it is, and it's a tough racket to be in. It's why I would, Jake's got a buddy or roommate that was doing some football stuff too, and really at that college level, I hate to think that there's potential officials out there that are gapping, thinking, well, it's not really for me now, but I'll wait and kind of see where I settle into the world at. But man, I'll take them now, and it's a really good opportunity, especially that second or third year of college when you kind of know what your schedule is, and the maturity. People don't quite remember you from, we're not going to send Jake back down to Portageville necessarily to do high school varsity games next year, but that is a good avenue, and probably somewhere where we've not reached out enough, and you can make some good spending money. I mean, it's $90 to $100 a night for a typical JV varsity game. It's in the $65 to $70 on junior high stuff. So again, to me, that'd be a lot better spending money and a way to put some extra money in those guys' pockets than, again, trying to get a full part-time job. Love to have them.
Sure. And Jake, you finished up 1 year of basketball, so how was it going into basketball? What kind of games did you do this year?
Well, starting out, last summer actually, when I kind of started this whole process, Loyd talked to me, and I went over to SEMO. They had a big team camp last summer, and I kind of just got thrown in the fire on that. It was really a big learning process. I kind of had to be, I guess, babied a little bit, those first couple of days, just to kind of learn the whole process and really just learn how to call a game right. And then, in the winter and the fall, just getting to do a few junior high games starting out. And I even actually got to go up and do a few JV and handful of varsity games too. So it was a really good first year. I've gotten to learn a lot, and fortunately, Randy and Loyd, they were able to put me with some veteran guys that have been around the game a long time and kind of steer me in the right direction. Kind of point out what I was doing wrong or some things I need to improve on. Just to be a better official.
Sure, and that I can remember back to my time getting into it. The hardest thing was getting down the procedural things.
Right.
The mechanics, the procedural things. That was the hardest thing to grasp.
Yeah.
Fans don't think about that.
That's right.
It's because they watch the game, they don't actually watch the procedures of what's supposed to go on. But that was really the hardest thing to grasp, is just the procedural and the mechanical things that referees are responsible for. So it's a different game when you get talking about that kind of thing. So Loyd, I'm just curious. Say on a Friday night in January, how many games are you basically assigning for? Just a ballpark.
Probably on our very busiest Tuesdays and Fridays, and then in January, we're going to have anywhere, I'm going to float out like there's probably 30 to 35 games going on within our assigning area, and that really puts a lot of stress on a 90-man roster. I mean, you can kind of do the math. And there were several days that we had to pluck some guys from out of the area, had to kind of back off where we had intended to do a 3-man crew and do a 2-man crew. And I don't like to do that, because when you do that, you're saying, well, this game is maybe not as important as this game, or this game, you guys can handle it with 2 men. And I don't like that, because some of those very games are the ones that need that third set of eyes the very most. Again, there's no more competitive basketball than down in the Tri-County, and even if they're 2 middling teams, there's a lot on the line on a Tuesday and Friday, in that part of the world on those nights, every bit as much as, again, jumping up to Cape Central and Jackson playing. You know, they'll get a few more TV highlights, but, you know, those people sitting down there, David Heeb didn't care beans about that. He was worried about going to battle with, you know, Cooter that night or whatever. And that's the really fun part of it. And we try to spread the guys out. We do. You know, it's you're going to see the Bobbies and the Tims and the Lee Jones and those guys, but you'll also know that we do, you know, collectively send them all over the area and spread this thing out. And it's about as fair and equitable for the schools, and trying to mix that with being fair to the guys as well. And you know, your skill set, just like playing, it's competitive, and I think Jake can already get a feel for that and see that, golly, I want to be here and I want to, you know, get there. And there's some things that he can do to improve that. He can go to camp. He can jump in and do the summer stuff. He can referee, you know, just kind of be the sponge that he's been. But even like Clark and Jay, Jay's been to camp with me. Clark has. I mean, those guys want to and feel the need to get better because you mentioned it a minute ago. It doesn't really pay anymore to be better. And, you know, the only thing against that is that, yeah, you will eventually lose kind of grip on where you're at, and you'll not get games eventually. And, you know, we want the cream to rise to the top. We want to push competitiveness and give some of these other guys a break. I hate to use them 5 nights a week too, and I know their wives probably do as well. But if they'll green dot that game and accept it, you know, we just know that's another one off the assignment list.
Sure. So yeah, it's certainly interesting in that aspect. Loyd, what would you, if someone out there is thinking about getting into officiating, just tell them the process about how to get started.
You know, and it's a real easy process, almost like they said, really just contact any official. It's all really online. We need to get you to the MSHA website or MASHA, whatever it's MSHSAA, the Missouri State High School Activities Association. You've got to basically just sign up, I guess you might say, and they're going to send you all the rule books for your fee. And you take that open book test. I think it worked out in Jake's case where he could take it last spring and during the summer. You know, you don't have to do it all in one setting. And really, once you have passed that test and you're licensed, you're good to go. You've got to complete some rules. We go to a rules meeting every year, and we go to I have some periodic meetings, which is kind of our staff of guys. But that's really it, really getting to that MSHA website. And once you do that, though, the trick is you've got to kind of hook yourself up with some people. You've got to find some guys to go with. And I know down here that's never been an issue. I mean, the guys at Poplar Bluff will every year, you know, bring a new guy or two with them. The guys here around Dexter, you know, I'm making sure that, you know, Jake goes with him some, and the guys at Cape the same way. So there's plenty to officiate, even if we've got to dump you up into the maybe the Cape Parochial League, that, you know, the Nell Hawkins and the Lutheran schools of the world that are playing up there. They've got a really good competitive. It's more junior high to us, that 7th and 8th grade type age group. So plenty of basketball for sure, and plenty of baseball. I know Jake had the opportunity to do some baseball. Kind of found out it wasn't for him maybe, but same way. Just find out someone you know that does it, and really just kind of hook up with them, and they'll put you in touch with me or whoever that needs to get you going.
So yeah, it's a pretty easy process. Like you said, you just basically sign up. You'll have to pass an open book. Everybody
right.
loves open book.
Yes.
Open book test, and it'll at least get you started, or you can start getting into some games. And it's one thing that's probably scares some people off. They think they're on their own.
Right.
So you go get your own games, but it's not necessarily the case.
I think it was that way, and it was a little bit intimidating probably for a lot of guys, because I know a lot of guys when I was just starting and coming through that probably tried it out and kind of found that out and didn't like that part of it, and didn't stay with it. But I hope that that's one thing we're able to do with the with the partners and the crews we'll put you with is kind of babysit you through some of that early stuff and let you develop that part of it, and then that should hypothetically make it easier. And then eventually you've got to be able to work, because if you're just not any good, you also need that, you kind of need that coach or someone saying, hey, it doesn't look like this is working out for you. But the greatest way to stay involved locally, stay in shape and grab some extra spending money, and just allowing the kids this great opportunity to play. I mean, we've got some great high school athletics that go on down here, and it's a big deal, and I just love being a part of it. Some really good people involved from the school side of it and from the officiating side of it. So I'm looking. We're talent searching right now and always.
Sure. So if you're interested out there, get any officiating. If you see Loyd out and about, or just get a hold of us here at the station, we'll certainly help you out in getting started. And I know they're always looking for officials. You never can have too many.
Right.
So there's got to be teams, but there's also got to be officials out there for these games to go on. So we certainly appreciate the officials that put forth the time and come on out so we can enjoy these high school athletics. It's certainly a great tradition in our area, and we certainly want it to continue. And we'll certainly be looking forward to that, to another year. We're coming up on the end of the year and summertime, and you guys will be out to camps and whatnot. And Jake, you got any camps you're going to be going to this summer, or anything over the summer you're going to be doing?
Well, I recently went with that camp with Loyd a couple weeks ago, and this summer I'll actually be out of state doing an internship. So I won't be able to make any camps around this area this summer. I might be able to work something out where I'll be at this summer, maybe do a little bit up there, but nothing around here probably this summer.
All right. Well, we'll be looking forward to another season and
get him going again in the fall for sure.
Going into fall, and it'll be here before you know it. Seems like the summer flies by. We're into football in the fall, so we're looking forward to another great year. Had another great year this year. It always seems like it turns out that way. So it's always a good time.
Yeah, it's a scary. There were several Tuesdays and Fridays that we were pretty stressed about. Hoping nobody went down or nobody else called in sick or anything. But you seemed to get through and get on into February, and we did. We had a great year. The districts really worked out well. The teams that went to state represented well. It's a really good part of the state to be associated with high school sports. It's not that way in all parts of the state, but we can kind of grab onto that part of this. Southeast Missouri's got a good thing going for them.
It certainly does, and get a couple teams that went up this year, and that Class 2 this year was probably the best basketball to watch around in that
no
Class
question.
2. Yeah, it certainly was. Well, that's going to wrap up our officials day, and we appreciate all of you tuning in. Appreciate you guys coming in, along with Clark and Jay, and sharing with all our viewers about the ins and outs of officiating. And it is interesting. I know y'all do a lot of games and a lot of experiences to talk about, which probably some we won't bring up.
That's right.
That's just as well. So we appreciate you guys once again, and we appreciate all of you tuning in for the Roundtable season. And we're going to take a break over the summer. We'll be back with the Roundtable in late August once we get into the fall sports. And we're going to be covering some Rib City Shootout games. We'll be bringing those back and putting them here on YHC and on SeawellSportsZone.com, where you can watch some select games from that Rib City Shootout. It gets underway later on this month, that Friday the 31st and Saturday June 1st with girls basketball, and 6 total weekends of that Rib City Shootout over the summer. And go to RibCityShootout.com for all the information on that, and we'll bring you some select games from that Rib City Shootout. Always a big deal there at the Rib City Shootout.
Really big deal, and becoming bigger. And I might add that you did you picked a great topic to wrap up your season with, so we appreciate that.
All right. Well, we look forward to having you back in late August, and have a great summer. We'll see you once again for another Roundtable season come August. Take care, everyone.